30 episodes, 900 facts, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to 30 incredible facts to make your day. We're talking about a hidden continent beneath your feet and the heart stopping bravery of a hero dog in the Twin Towers. Stick around for number 30. It's a masterclass in devotion you'll never forget. Let's dive in. Africa is the only continent on Earth to have land in all four hemispheres. Because it is crossed by both the equator and the prime meridian, it sits in the northern, southern, eastern, and western hemispheres simultaneously. This unique geographical position makes it the most centrally located continent on the planet. New Zealand isn't just a small island nation. It's actually the highest peak of a massive sunken landmass called Zealandia. In 2017, scientists confirmed this massive area, spanning nearly 4.91 million square kilometers or 2 million square miles, is a distinct continent, even though 94% of it is underwater. If you want to see the most pyramids in one country, you shouldn't head to Egypt, but rather to Sudan. Sudan is home to roughly 255 of these ancient structures, which is nearly double the amount found in Egypt. They were built by the rulers of the ancient kingdom of Kush between 2500 and 1500 years ago. For over 1,000 years, women have been strictly prohibited from visiting Mount Athos in Greece. This holy mountain is a self-governed monastic state where even female animals are banned to ensure the monks can live in total celibacy. It remains one of the most restricted areas for women on the entire planet. In the city of Tokyo, Japan, you can visit a specialized animal cafe dedicated entirely to hedgehogs. Known as Harry, the cafe allows visitors to sit with and handle these prickly little creatures while enjoying a drink. It has become a world-famous destination for animal lovers looking for a unique, hands-on experience. Madagascar was once the roaming grounds for giant sloth lemurs that grew to be the size of modern-day gorillas. These massive primates weighed over 227 kilograms, or about 500 pounds, and were the largest lemurs to ever exist on Earth. They likely went extinct about 2,300 years ago, not long after the first human settlers arrived on the island. Square watermelons in Japan might look like a tasty snack, but they are actually used almost exclusively as ornamental plants. Farmers grow them in tempered glass cases to force the shape, but because they are harvested while underripe, they are virtually inedible. They are primarily used as expensive decorations in Japanese department stores. Until the year 2015, it was technically illegal to dance in Japan after midnight. This law, known as the Faho Law, was originally enacted in 1948 to curb lewd behavior in social clubs. For decades, many Japanese nightclubs displayed no dancing signs to avoid being shut down by the local police. Ketchup actually originated in China, but it didn't contain any tomatoes at all. The original version was a fermented fish brine called kichiap that was used as a salty seasoning for meat. It wasn't until the 19th century that Americans added tomatoes and sugar to the recipe to create the condiment we recognize today. Back in 1997, a cargo ship lost a container filled with 4.8 million Lego pieces during a massive storm near Cornwall. Interestingly, these Lego bits are still washing up on British beaches nearly 30 years later. Collectors and beachcombers track the pieces as part of a long-term project to study ocean currents and plastic pollution. The first animated film in history wasn't made by Disney, but by an artist in Argentina named Carlino Cristiani. His film, titled El Apostol, was released in 1917 and used over 58,000 hand-drawn frames. Unfortunately, the original film was destroyed in a fire, making it a lost masterpiece of cinema history. For 5 years, the Merriam-Webster dictionary included a word that didn't actually exist. The word was "dord," and it was printed in the 1934 edition as a synonym for density. It turned out to be a massive clerical error, where a chemist's note, D or D, was read as a single word by the editors. In 1999, Electronic Arts had to issue a massive recall for the video game Tiger Woods 99 because of a hidden Easter egg. An employee had tucked the file containing the pilot episode of South Park onto the game's disc. Since the episode was not age appropriate for a sports game, thousands of discs had to be pulled from shelves. Actor Christopher Lee was a true heavy metal fan, so much so that he released two full-length metal albums. He released the symphonic metal project Charlemagne by the Sword and the Cross at the age of 88. He even became the oldest performer to ever hit the Billboard music charts with a heavy metal song. In 2014, Sony developed a revolutionary cassette tape that could store a staggering 185 terabytes of data. Using a process called magnetic sputtering, they were able to pack 148 gigabytes of data onto every square inch of the tape. This single cartridge could hold the equivalent of 65 million songs or 3,700 Blu-ray movies. The electronics giant Samsung is so massive that its various business activities account for nearly 20% of South Korea's entire economy. Beyond phones, Samsung builds skyscrapers, ships, and even medical equipment. The company's success is so vital that the nation's financial health is often tied directly to Samsung's performance. Boeing engineers use sacks of potatoes to test their in-flight Wi-Fi systems because the starch and water content of a potato mimics the way a human body interacts with radio signals. The project is officially titled Synthetic Personnel Using Dialectic Substitution, or simply Project SPUDS, which helps them perfect the signal for passengers. The most common letter in the English language is the letter E. It appears in roughly 11% of all English words, making it far more frequent than its closest competitor, the letter T. In fact, E is so common that it is usually the first letter people try to guess when playing games like Hangman or Wheel of Fortune. Mexico's presidential palace, known as Los Pinos, is roughly 14 times larger than the White House in Washington, D.C. In 2018, the Mexican president decided he didn't want to live in such a lavish estate and opened the gates to the public. It is now a cultural center where visitors can tour the once private grounds for free. In the country of Norway, the government helps support authors by purchasing a portion of every book they publish. If a book meets certain quality standards, the government buys 773 copies for distribution to national libraries. This system helps ensure the Norwegian writers can make a living while keeping the public well supplied with new literature. The human circulatory system is much longer than most people realize. If you were to take all the blood vessels and lay them out in a straight line, they stretch over 96,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles. That's long enough to circle the Earth's equator more than twice. The human eye is a powerful sensory organ that can distinguish roughly 1 million different colors. We achieve this through 3 types of color sensing cells in our retinas that can detect red, green, and blue light. While most humans see this range, some rare individuals known as tetrachromats can see even more shades that the rest of us cannot. In 2005, a fortune cookie company called Wonton Food Incorporated accidentally caused a national investigation after 110 people won the Powerball lottery. Every winner had used the lucky numbers printed on the back of their cookie's fortune. Investigators initially suspected fraud, but they eventually realized it was just an incredible 1 in a million coincidence. George Clooney famously had a pet pig named Max who lived with him for 18 years. Max was a 136 kilogram or 300-pound pot-bellied pig that Clooney often called the longest relationship of his life. The pig was so well known that he would often sleep on a mat in the actor's bedroom and was frequently featured in celebrity interviews. In England, There's an ancient law stating that guano was regulated by the Pigeon Act of the 1700s. This is because in the 1700s, bird droppings were used to make saltpeter, a vital ingredient in gunpowder. While the law is no longer enforced for military use, it technically remains on the books today. Rebecca Felton holds the record for the shortest term in United States Senate history, serving for only 24 hours. She was appointed in 1922 at the age of 87 to fill a vacancy, becoming the first woman to ever serve in the Senate. She was sworn in on one day and replaced by a newly elected senator the very next morning. Many Russians believe that eating ice cream during the freezing winter months actually keeps you warm. The logic is that ice cream cools your internal temperature to match the freezing air outside, making the external cold feel less intense. It is very common to see people in Moscow eating ice cream in the middle of a snowstorm. Elephants are surprisingly excellent long-distance swimmers and have been recorded swimming for up to 6 hours at a time. They use their trunks like snorkels to breathe, while their massive bodies provide natural buoyancy. There have even been cases of elephants swimming between islands that were several miles apart in the ocean. In 1992, Mark Lee and Jan Davis became the only married couple to ever travel into space together. They were both crew members on the Space Shuttle Endeavour, having married in secret during their training. After their mission, NASA established a policy that effectively bans married couples from flying on the same mission together. During the tragic events of September the 11th, a guide dog named Roselle became a hero by leading her blind owner down 78 flights of stairs. Through the smoke and chaos of the North Tower, Roselle stayed focused for over an hour, leading them both to safety. 30 episodes in the books. It's been a world-class journey reaching this milestone with you. If these facts delivered, hit that like button, and let's see which one truly blew your mind in the comments. Subscribe now because episode 31 is already hitting the stove. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.